So we are now joined by Lenka. I hope that's okay.
Yes, it is.
She is a um, sports journalist in Serbia, also a Red Star fan. Unfortunately, a Man United fan in English football. Um, but yeah, so we're just going to talk to you now about the upcoming preview for the Tottenham Red Star game in the Champions League match day 4. So yeah,
All right, that sounds good.
All right, so just to look forward into this game now. Red Star's Champions League campaign has been a little bit mixed so far. There was obviously the 5-0 battering at White Hart Lane, but now with these two games, the next two games can sort of define qualification or maybe going into the Europa League. Red Star have two home games against Tottenham and Bayern. Do you think that the home advantage can push Red Star to qualification against Tottenham?
To be honest, the home court advantage is the biggest thing that Red Star has right now because when the stadium is packed, when you have over 45, let's say, thousand people there and everyone is actually jumping and cheering and singing, that is a lot. And it gives a lot of energy to the players. It could kind of throw the other team off a little and give enough space for Red Star to actually get that leg up. So I think it can make an immense difference if the players are able to utilize that atmosphere in their own advantage.
how big is the? So I was looking, and they have the Maracana. I don't know
Yes, it
how.
is. It is the Maracana, or the official name of the stadium has now been changed into Rajko Mitic, as it's one of the most important players of Red Star's history. So it is about 45, 50,000 people that can fit in there pretty snugly, if I may say so myself. No one is sitting. It's an all kind of standing situation. There are obviously seats in the entire stadium, but we don't have the culture and the let's say habit within our football culture to sit down and watch the game. If you come here, you're gonna stand and you're gonna jump and you're gonna cheer all 90 minutes.
Um, just quickly. Also, how so? Obviously, the Champions League is a big thing,
Yes.
but how are Red Star currently doing in these? I don't know the Serbian league. Or,
The Serbian Super League, they are doing very well. And they are the reigning champions, so a lot is expected of them. Obviously, they are currently in first position with 39 points, so that's a pretty nice position to be in because the second team is Čukarički, who has 6 points less. So it's a pretty good standing at this point.
So Red Star obviously one of the I think are the most successful Serbian club.
Currently, yes.
Yeah. So what along with this success comes lots of as you mentioned before, passionate fans.
Mm-hmm.
In the away game at White Hart Lane, which I was attending, there were supposed to be no Red Star fans. There were a couple hundred got in.
Yeah.
There's been fan trouble in the past, and the reason why they were banned from the game against Tottenham was because of allegations of racism. Do you think that there might be trouble on Wednesday, and why do you think that there is this issue with violence and a little bit with racism?
Let's see. First of all, I knew that this was going to be a question because the whole presence of, let's say, about 300 Serbian fans was such a huge thing on social media in the past few weeks. The organized groups were banned by the UEFA, but individuals, as just their own person, they were not banned. So they can technically go in and find a way to buy a ticket. If you were to go there as a group, you weren't able to, but as just one person to get your own ticket, it was possible in different ways, which I'm not going to get into because, it's everyone's prerogative whether or not they want to buy a ticket or a way in which they want to buy the ticket. But they did get in. In my opinion, there was no big issue because there was no safety incident. They just kind of cheered, even though their team lost. They went home. That was it. The allegations, referring to racism were actually based off of certain chants that were dedicated to the wars of the 90s, which had nothing to do with race to begin with. Second thing that influenced the UEFA fine was the use of pyro, also a lot of crowds in the passageways, because as I said, we don't really sit down in matches, so the passageways are always going to be crowded. So that's a big no with the UEFA. I don't see why there would be an incident on Wednesday at all. I mean, it's a home game. I absolutely don't see why there would be any kind of incident. The fans in the Balkan region are very passionate about football. They're very passionate about their teams and supporting them. I honestly did not see any nuances of racial discrimination of any kind, thankfully, and obviously because we are a nation that has suffered a lot due to the racist and fascist ideologies of the early 20th century. So not many individuals in this country support those kind of stands. So to refer to this as racist in any way is not only offensive to us, but it's also ill-informed.
Just quickly, so from what I've seen though, some research suggested that almost half of Serbia are Red Star fans, and so they almost have a reputation of being a Serbian national club. So they're the pride of Serbia. Do you think though this leads to a bad or good reputation for the fans?
Honestly, it really depends on who you ask, because first of all, there are a lot of partisan fans that wouldn't agree because they see their club as bigger, and that always brings to a lot of interesting banter between Red Star and partisan fans, which is very expected and very normal. I don't really see any problem in either of the two teams representing our country in a competition. They obviously do, because whether it's the Champions League or the Europa League, obviously a Serbian team represents Serbia in a way. But I don't think it adds on any kind of pressure to the team or the players. It's just another bonus to the team that they get to represent their country of origin. But that's about it.
Also, as an Arsenal fan, looking at the game, I obviously am hoping for a Red Star win.
All right.
Who are the sort of players that I can look out for and hope to see some positivity from?
A lot of positivity could be seen from a guy by the name of Marko Marin. He is an amazing midfielder, and he basically carries that midfield throughout the match, week in, week out. He is very versatile. He has an amazing eye for pass. And, that's obviously to be expected for his position. But the way that he could just make the entire game flow is really, really wonderful. And it's honestly very aesthetically pleasing because he's able to find virtually impossible angles to pass the ball, which is really, really interesting. Also, Red Star has a very important, I have to say, figure with the goalkeeper of Milan Borjan, who's basically the biggest reason why Red Star qualified for the Champions League after that thriller against Copenhagen in the qualifiers, because that penalty shootout really made the difference between who's going to move on and who's going to take a step back. And Borjan was able to really pull through in that match. So he was kind of the joker, the ace in the sleeve of coach Vladan Milojevic. And I think he's a very, very important link in the whole system that Zvezda, or Red Star, if you want to call it in English, has.
So we saw, obviously, Marco Marin. Some people might recognize him from his Chelsea days. But we saw some of these players in the game at White Hart Lane. And I just when I watched the game, I thought they were really 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 poor. It was one of the worst performances I've seen at White Hart Lane for a while. How are the Red Star fans or the Zvezda fans feeling about this campaign so far? Are they seeing it could get better, or are they feeling like very, very down and depressed about the result at White Hart Lane?
Honestly, the 0 to 5 to Zvezda was not a very good day at all. I mean, a lot of people were disappointed because honestly, I think most people expected at least a draw, maybe even a win if you ask the more, let's say, optimistic fans. I don't think anyone expected for Zvezda to get the 5 goals in, and that was just I don't know. It was a bit shocking. That whole episode was just not good to see at all, and the campaign, I have to say, brings mixed feelings because on one hand, there was the really great win against Olympiacos, even though that first half was kind of slow, but then it got better as time went on. But then you compare it to what we saw in England, and it's just it seems like two very different sides of the exactly same team. So I have to say we have to find the one sort of middle ground in this whole thing in order for Zvezda to move forward. Because I do believe that there is a possibility for them to show off something really, really good until the end of this group stage. However, it cannot be slow. It cannot take 45, 50 minutes to get to that point. In my opinion, they have to start off strong from that very first second and keep it up until the final whistle. Otherwise, it's not going to be a very good addition. Fans in general are positive because every week within the national championship, you see the current form of the team, whatever that team may be. So people tend to get more optimistic as the weekend drives to a close because then they see what the team looks like right now. You know, they saw what the team looked like the day before yesterday, for example, and based off of that, they can know what to expect, for example, on Wednesday. And for now, there is optimism. I obviously don't think that Red Star can score, 6+ goals on the Raikomitic Stadium, but I do think that they can show off in a lot more positive kind of light than what they showed in England. Because let's be honest, the English episode shall not be named.
Red Star and Zvezda's history
Mm-hmm.
in Europe has been it's a really really rich history. Obviously, won it in '91,
Yes.
and have been a member of been participating in many different years and year after year. Because of this history, do the fans we talked about the fans before, but do the fans they feel that they expect to get out of the group and get into the knockout rounds, or are they content just to be in the competition?
No one is just happy to be here, honestly, because even though this is our second consecutive season, we have to say that last year was the first time for Zvezda to be in the competition after 25 years. So once they were in, people started making really big expectations because to just say, okay, now we're here, that's it, that's not enough because the Serbian mentality is not that of being happy with just participating. We like to win. It doesn't matter the sport, doesn't matter the context, we like to win. And so being able to win gives you that ultimate drive to keep going and just staying there and being satisfied with only reaching, I don't know, a single point within the entire campaign would not be enough for your average fan. And I don't think it would be enough for the players because everyone wants to get better and everyone wants to show off what Serbian football can offer. And it's not the same level of La Liga or certain teams in the Premier League, but we can still show a lot, and people just want to be able to demonstrate that And so the mentality of, oh, it's enough to just participate, we don't have that. We don't have the.
Lastly, just to finish, can we ask you what is your score prediction for the game?
Oh God, let's see. All things considering, I think a 2-1 would be, let's say, an average situation. So we're gonna go with that.
Two on which way?
If Zvezda, of course.
Feeling positive.
Yeah, I mean, we have the home court advantage. We had a little bit of rest. They had a little time to recap everything that went wrong. And so hopefully they're able to learn from their mistakes and give the fans some joy.